have stopped watching TV. People consume content. And the content is always there. There is the backlog, the queue. And you gotta get through it. It's not about enjoying the thing you're watching, it's about being done with the thing you're watching. And so, if the thing you're watching is not firing on all the cylinders you think it should be firing on, if it stops to be like, actually, no, let's just follow 4 random guys who work the night shift on the Enterprise. Let's do that for an episode. You're ruining their experience, apparently, and all that matters is that their experience is exactly what they want, how they want it, so they can get through the next thing, because they're already watching on Netflix at 2x speed like madmen. Hello, welcome to Is That Some Kind of Japanimation Thing? A show that only calls it Dragon Ball Z when we're referring to the Ocean Group dub. Otherwise, it is Dragon Ball Z. My name is Scott.
I am Justin. Thank you very much, Scott.
And we have a third mic this time around, a editor and manager of the Mecha and Anime Haste headquarters, longtime nerd, outspoken figure in the anime world. Chris Guanche, introduce yourself.
Oh, outspoken figure. Oh, that makes me sound important. Thank you.
Everyone's important. You're on this show. That makes it important.
Well, now I know I've made it.
Yeah, now we know what really matters. Tonight we are going to do a bit of a special episode. We're going to break format just a bit. But before we really break format, let's stick to format by mentioning that this episode is brought to you by HobbyLink Japan and their wide assortment of Dragon Ball Z figures, model kits, various merchandise options. I was going to look for, I know Tamiya has a line of model kits that replicate the vehicles from Dragon Ball, and I was hoping they would have the little cars from the episode we're going to talk about, but they did not, alas. But anyway, there's plenty of things. Nano blocks in the Dragon Ball theme. I think a thing I saw that I almost bought immediately was a paper theater, which is like 5 layers of paper you assemble into a pseudo 3D image of the Ginyu Force. And I'm like, no, that's beautiful. The Ginyu Force intro pose. And I'm like, no, that is the best, most beautiful thing. I almost bought that immediately because there was one left. It may still be there when this episode releases. You can go to hlj.com. The link is in the description, and they have adjusted their shipping such that, I'm very sorry, America, you're going to have to pay extra customs and duties. You're not getting DHL unless you spend more than $800.
Oh, womp, womp, womp.
Oh, there we go.
Are they charging the tariffs?
They gotta, and they're adjusting their shipping so that that can happen because of, and this isn't even necessarily the tariffs. This is specifically a Obama era policy that would waive customs for small packets from overseas. If the declared value was under 800, they'd just be like, fine, whatever. We're not, it costs us too much to inspect you. Move it along.
De minimis?
Yes, the de minimis rule. Yeah.
Thanks, Obama. Oh, wait,
yeah.
No, that was
actually, yes, thanks, Obama.
Yeah, thanks, because that was great, and now it's gone. Goodbye, loophole.
Goodbye, loophole. Speaking of loopholes, you can get every episode of this show early if you back us on Ko-fi. Also, for Season 2, if we are going to use the Ko-fi campaign option, which is to say that if somebody buys me 12 Ko-fis, exactly 12, not 11, 12 Ko-fis, I will explain, as to the best of my abilities, every lawsuit related to Macross I can think of. This is Tatsunoko versus Big West. This is Harmony Gold versus everybody. This is Hasegawa versus Fasta Game Labs. This is other characters that may appear. George Lucas, the United States Secret Service, disgraced Italian Prime Minister Silvio Berlusconi. I'm not entirely sure who of these people will matter, but I know they might come up, and if you buy me 12 Ko-fis, that episode will happen. This episode is coming out
between 12 Kofi's.
Yeah, this episode is coming out between season 1 and 2. Season 2, we'll be talking about Macross Plus to start. Anyway, we are about to go off on a bit of a tangent because we are going to talk about the word filler and how the fans say filler now. And because someone on the internet is wrong, I have to take an absurd amount of time to describe why they're wrong. And we're going to start by reviewing the best, most important episode of Dragon Ball Z. This is Menkyou Kaiden Goku no Arata Narushiren, or Goku's Ordeal, directed by Daisuke Nishio, who directed Interstellar 4-5, Airmaster, a kabillion episodes of Dragon Ball, written by Aya Matsui, who did basically all of Dr. Slump, so many Dragon Balls, a bunch of Yu-Gi-Ohs, but the later ones that no one cares about, and a bunch of Pokemon spin-offs that you may or may not care about. This episode is set halfway through Dragon Ball, setting up a new story arc. Now, Justin, have you seen any Dragon Ball Z, actually?
No, why did you do this to me?
Because you must suffer, Justin, you must.
I could point out a lot of suffering in my timeline, Scotty, but this was a new thing. This was a brand new experience for me.
And Chris, what's your experience with Dragon Ball?
I have seen Z up through like the early parts of the Android saga, and I did read a couple of volumes of the OG Dragon Ball. That's the extent of my experience.
So I think I will say that I have a bit of a experience that is common to a lot of Canadians, where YTV on Saturday mornings at like 6 a.m., before Z was ever big, years before Z even ever hit America, YTV, the Canadian cable show for cartoons, aired the first 13 episodes of Dragon Ball brackets no letter or word afterward. So the Pilaf saga on a loop, just one episode every Saturday for a year and a half. So that's all we knew. We were introduced to Goku and his 3.5 friends, and that was it. And then years later, Dragon Ball Z is the biggest thing in America. You gotta watch it. We're gonna show it to you every day after school. And it just jumps ahead 10 years, and it's like, oh yeah, that's Goku. And I know that friend, and there's more people, and everyone's older, and I don't know, but it's exciting and everyone likes it. And I followed it along until I was like, had after school activities or a job that got in the way of me watching Dragon Ball. So I think I definitely saw this on cable as it was coming out in North America at the time and being baffled by it. But the important thing about this episode is that it is the one where Goku and Piccolo have to drive cars. This is an episode that was not in the manga. It totally derails any tension in the story arc. It is just, no, this is the one where they have to go to driver's ed. For no reason. Okay, there is a reason. Because we're going to go through... Yeah.
I will like to point out that my exposure to Dragon Ball Z in total was the epic rap battles where Goku fought Superman.
Also a great way
to... I really call it for Kal-El's there. I'm sorry, but... this guy's weird, man. I don't know what's going on.
So we start with the excitable narrator man, a great part of Dragon Ball Z. He explains that on the last exciting episode of Dragon Ball Z, some Kyle Reese with purple hair showed up and said, hey, there's some killer robots. They're going to kill all of you. You're going to have to training montage like you've never training montaged, or else you'll die. And everyone agrees that we will training montage. And then immediately we cut to Chi-Chi, who is Goku's wife, running from a feral hog, a single feral hog, with her groceries.
Not even 30 to 50.
No, just a single feral hog. And with her groceries. And in order to escape this feral hog, She has to destroy what appears to be $15 worth of eggs at time of recording.
I'm, you have to get to that joke first, Scott, because all of us wanted to make that.
Yes, yeah. The hog falls off a cliff. Chi-Chi makes peace with not having potatoes, and she sees that someone else, a happy couple, is enjoying driving in a car and not having to run from a feral hog. And she decides that will solve her problems. Goku and
Why
Gohan,
does she have to carry? How far is the grocers from their house?
very far. They
Is it
live in the
established?
woods.
Very
They
far?
live in the woods and they farm turnips.
I'm just gonna step out here and say, Scott, I think this Goku guy's a shitty husband. Making his
Yes.
wife walk alone into town to pick up the groceries. I mean, can't he arrange a car of some kind? Is Super
He's too
Saiyan a
busy
job
flexing.
or just a state of being?
Yes.
Does he get paid for this?
No.
Okay.
No.
Chi-Chi is the daughter of a king.
Okay.
She could have a driver. She could have learned to drive years ago.
I mean, she could have.
Yes.
Does Goku allow her to learn to drive? Is he
Goku
that
does
kind
not
of husband?
care about other people unless they are learning Kung Fu. If it is not about eating dinner or doing Kung Fu, he has no interest in anything.
Why did a princess marry this guy?
Because he's very sincere. Also, she asked, and he thought marriage was a kind of dinner.
Well, there is a dinner involved, but there's way more afterwards than just doing the dishes. Does he do the dishes?
No,
Oh, Jesus, Goku.
he is not a good husband or good father. We cut to Goku
But
and
not exactly
Gohan.
war.
Yeah. We cut to Goku and Gohan not actually doing the training montage that they were supposed to be doing. They're just catching fish. This is some genuine father-son bonding. And they get home the same time as Chi-Chi. Chi-Chi is furious that they are throwing their dirty clothes all around the kitchen and dining room. And she says, "You know what? I am very upset, and I'm going to make my problem not about the thing I'm upset with, but about this external thing. I'm going to externalize my feelings and make you do a task that proves you care about me." And I'm maybe doing some couples therapy for these people, but what happens is that Goku must go into town and go to driver's ed, and as they're yelling, Piccolo is also forced to go to driver's ed. Piccolo is a 9-year-old. He has no documentation. He was born in the woods. I don't know how he is allowed to fill out any forms.
He doesn't look 9. He looks like an adult.
Yeah. Goku also has no identification. He is an illegal alien.
Literally.
I mean,
Yes.
you marry a princess, I'm sure that clears the way for a lot of things to just be taken care of.
I mean, I guess ID fraud is rampant in the DBZ world, so we just have to accept that this is the case.
Also, Goku was dead for a bit, so I don't know what that does. There's probably like a Marvel Blip scenario where he has 2 passports somehow. Unless he was never reported dead. Again, ID fraud, rampant.
Do we even know that his name's Goku? He's just calling
Uh,
himself that?
no, he just calls himself that. His name is Kakarot.
All right. Thank you very much for the filling in of details.
Yes. The next thing that happens.
family.
Yeah. The next thing that happens is this the next morning, and this is the first time we've seen Goku or Piccolo wear an outfit that is different from the outfit we've seen them all for 150 episodes, and these outfits are fantastic.
Was this designed for toyetic purposes, Scott?
I mean, now it is. Now it is. Absolutely.
Goku.
Absolutely, now you can buy Goku in his Aloha shirt. You can absolutely get Piccolo in the Post Boy streetwear.
I love though that Piccolo's wearing a baseball cap that says Goku on it.
Yeah. and
Well, Goku provided him that, didn't he?
well, Chi-Chi was like, "You can't go into town in your Demon King outfit. You have to wear this out of my husband's closet." So he has a hat with his own name on it. And so they must take driver's ed. Goku is paired with an old guy who he has a speech impediment. Goku is an idiot and doesn't understand basic directions, so he blows up a car twice. He's allowed to continue driving the car. It's hilarious shenanigans. The jokes aren't too tightly paced, but there's some good bits. Piccolo is paired with a ditzy woman, but it's hilarious that she is very aggressive behind the wheel. This character could have been Launch, but apparently they'd just forgotten what Launch looked like by this point. So there we go.
And
And
Launch is
one of Goku's old friends. She was bipolar, and by bipolar I mean she literally had two personalities. One was genteel, and one would shoot you with machine guns.
that would have made a great driving instructor.
Yeah, great driving instructor. Piccolo is actually a good driver. He's a little cautious, but eventually we get to the scene where they are on a highway test, and Piccolo comes to believe that the highway test is a challenge, and because it's a challenge, he must get angry and try to defeat Goku at driving. And so there we go. That's what happens. They both crash their cars. The weather gets terrible. They keep escalating the tests, even though it's like clearly none of them can drive, and you should just send them home. And then there's a bus crash, and the boys save the bus full of children. And the driver's ed instructors are like, "Okay, you're amazing people. You should never drive, but you're amazing." And then jokes having been fulfilled, they just go back to the plot for next episode on the next exciting episode of Dragon Ball Z.
Why do all the women look like their eyes are closed?
Cause that's just how you be nice. You don't look at when you're a nice woman in Dragon Ball. You don't look at people. That's it.
Okay.
So I described this as the best, most important episode of Dragon Ball because it is. Chris, would you agree?
Yes, undoubtedly. It is the best and most important episode of Dragon Ball of the entire history of the franchise. Any spin-off, it doesn't matter. This is the best.
Yes. Because it doesn't take itself seriously at all. Everything else is important. This is just, can you drive? No, you can't. Go away. So, Justin, would you ever watch a Dragon Ball Z again?
I don't think I'm up for it, Scott. I'd appreciate you not choosing it for season 3.
That's
think
fair.
we can say this is. I don't know what the target audience for this is, but I'm sure they buy a lot of very annoying shirts at conventions.
I don't know if they sell those anymore. Oh man,
They're just wearing their old ones or their dads.
Bootleg Hawaiian shirts.
Oh, those button downs with Vegeta on them. That you got at the mall. Those were the days.
From the bootleg store. Yep, and with the bootleg Gundam Wing shirts too.
Oh,
the show is fulfilling its final form, Scott.
Yeah, it is. It is.
Because I've seen the shirts. Seen a lot of those shirts. No idea what was going on. Now that I see this episode, still no idea what's going on. But
this episode does have like 90 seconds of Vegeta doing training montage.
Yes, like 400% Earth gravity.
Yeah. He's just working out at 450 Gs, a thing that you can do.
Yes.
If you're
Honestly,
saying,
if you can put that into a gym, I can't imagine an android being that much of a danger.
You would think.
Yeah,
and yet.
In addition, I don't want to go the baby Thanos route, but why are they just waiting for Dr. Gero to invent evil robots? Why don't they proactively move in a fashion which can cut that off? Nip that in the bud, as they say. Does that get explained in a previous or future episode?
That would require thinking on the part of these meatheads, and all they think about is kicking and punching.
They only know Kung Fu and dinner.
That's it.
That's the
only thing Goku has space for in his brains. Food and Kung Fu.
There's no Sun Tzu character in this.
No one is smart. No. The only smart character just retired to live on top of a tower and grow beans.
Well, that puts him one up on the turnips.
Yep. They are magic beans.
Oh, magic beans. Did he have to plant other magic beans to get up to the place where he retired to, or is that?
No, you gotta climb it. Freehand. or use a flying car. See, that guy has a driver's license.
The smartest guy among them has a driver's license.
Exactly. So, I will bring the. I brought this episode up specifically because in my career of talking about anime, I saw some people on the internet who were wrong. They were talking about a show that was not based on a manga, that was still only 5 episodes into its run, and they said, "Oh, this episode is filler," and I'm like, "You moron! You don't know what is filler yet. It's not over. Can't tell me that that there could be themes here. There could be characters development going on here. You can't say it's
Plot
filler
to be established.
we can't say it's filler till it's over." And I see the word filler come up from live action TV. People are complaining about episodes of Severance and calling them filler. Severance seasons are 8 episodes long. And I was so angry that I needed to go on a rant. And I said, you know what? This isn't even a rant. I need the Straight Talk Express. And if I can't have, if I'm going to borrow the Straight Talk Express, I may as well ask the guy who owns it to ride shotgun. And Chris said yes. Chris owns the Straight Talk Express. He knows how to shoot down fan nonsense. And this is what we're here to talk about. How fans feel entitled to only plot all the time. And they don't know about, they just don't know. They don't know what plot even is anymore.
Yes.
I'm angry.
Now, can we agree on a definition of what is filler so we can explain how all these other people are wrong?
All right. So another great reason to bring up the episode of Dragon Ball Z where they have to take driver's ed is that one of the Dragon Ball wikis, one of them, there's like 5 at this point, I think, but one of them has a complete authoritative list, a complete codex, an index of every scene and shot that is not derived from manga material. A reaction from a character that wasn't drawn, filler. Establishing shot, filler. This episode, filler. If it is not from the source material, it is filler. Even if you might think, actually, it's a good idea to have Yamcha just say, "Whoa, I'm Yamcha," and I'm impressed by that. To remind everyone that Yamcha is there and the things are impressive. So I would say that is my line. This wiki has drawn their line and they stuck to it because they will tell me the 13-second establishing shot that doesn't count, apparently. Chris,
that's very
are you fine with that definition?
That's an amusing definition. My operating definition is that filler only refers to anime adaptation of a manga, and it's an episode that is not based on any manga arc. And sometimes that's 1 or 2 episodes. Sometimes it could be a whole arc, 10, 15, 20, 30, 40, 100 in the case of Naruto. It depends.
Yeah, I was following Bleach week to week, and there was a point at which they would introduce that there was a period of Bleach where you knew when they were going to stop adapting the manga, because they'd show the same 3 characters from the last arc that was not based on the manga. And I'm like, oh, those 3 guys are back. I can stop downloading this for a year.
Oh, God.
I would come back 50 weeks later, and it's like, oh, boom, we're back where we left off. So, Justin, you watch a lot of TV. Where do you stand on filler? Are the Monster of the Week episodes of The X-Files filler?
I have a motto, Scott. I have a catchphrase. I have a term, FNRE. Scott, do you know?
Yeah.
Have you seen me use that? Yes.
Yeah.
I don't think there are wasted episodes. I think sometimes there are bad episodes. There are uninteresting episodes. There are episodes that don't fulfill my needs for the show at that moment and may down the road turn out to be absolutely vital for the overarching narrative. I have emotional problems. I'm sorry. But I am a little angry at people who use the word filler. I'm like, so it's not an adaptation. That's okay, fine. I can understand there being some concerns there. I did stop reading the Game of Thrones books after the first one and just watched the TV show. So I'm like, I don't know what's not happening here. I don't think they had anything in there that we described as filler. People complained about them taking stuff out, not putting stuff in. Bottle episodes. people will complain about those, and I'm like, no, those are good. You get some actual character development. People like talk to one another. People have to explore their thing. People get to use their dramatic pull. Scott, you know what I'm saying there? You
Yeah,
understand the reference? Yes.
yeah. People get mad about the Fly episode of Breaking Bad.
Those people can go to hell, Scott, okay? Every single one of them. Line up at my front door. I will kick the shit out of you folks. And I am an old man with a bad back. Fly is one of the greatest episodes of television, all right? Maybe I'll change my mind if I ever get around to actually watching The Wire, but I doubt it.
Oh, there's somebody out there that
Jesse.
has called the Port Union season of The Wire filler.
Jeez.
How? The entire show is about, corruption and systemic breakdown of society in Baltimore, and that's just one aspect of it. So, like, how is it filler?
I don't know. I just think people have stopped watching TV. People consume content. And
Yeah.
the content is always there. There is the backlog, the queue, and you gotta get through it. It's not about enjoying the thing you're watching, it's about being done with the thing you're watching. And so, if the thing you're watching is not firing on all the cylinders you think it should be firing on, if it stops to be like, actually, no, let's just follow 4 random guys who work the night shift on the Enterprise. Let's do that for an episode. You're ruining their experience, apparently, and all that matters is that their experience is exactly what they want, how they want it, so they can get through the next thing, because they're already watching on Netflix at 2x speed like Mad Men.
Oh, why would someone watch Mad Men at 2x speed? Come on, that is a show meant to be.
Oh, that-
sorry.
No, well, like Mad Men, like maniacs.
I was.
But also, yeah, there's someone who's like watching the slow meditative sections of Mad Men at 3 times speed, so you can just watch Don just jam whiskeys even faster.
Sometimes, Mad Men gets a little too navel gazy with Don Draper's, the ennui of being a successful, attractive, rich white man in the 60s. What should I do with my life?
I have money and women and money and prestige and creative fulfillment. I'll be sad about that.
For 6 years. Yeah, I feel like, I don't know if streaming is entirely the culprit behind this, but I feel like probably goes in hand with it that people have gotten their brains rotted on the idea of plot. That plot must always be moving forward at all times. It can never stop, and that any time that you are not moving the plot forward, then you are just wasting time, and that is filler. And what happened to episodes with character work? You look at going to Star Trek, like Next Gen, Voyager. Those are all shows about just moving forward. Let's just go on to the next place. Let's find the next planet, find the next alien. And then you have DS9, where it's like, hey, let's have a Zelda style trading game for an entire episode involving things like self-sealing stem bolts. Why not? Like, what's not to be enjoyed about that?
I need to steal the commander's desk for 1 photo, and then we'll be fine.
Yes.
Hey, Deep Space Nine is great because it's like, hey, let's just have someone sit in their trauma by living in the 60s Vegas and totally disintegrate over the fact that they have no leg. Let's do that for an episode, why not?
For not even a main character. Just a guest star.
Yeah, he wasn't even main cast that season. Yeah.
Next Gen did have the Lower Decks episode.
Oh yeah, Next Gen definitely had some cul-de-sacs and some side issues. I don't know how anyone who is so plot focused like watches a cop show, right? Like, I mean, a cop show, capital C, capital S cop show, where it is just like, hey, there's a dead guy. Oh,
yeah,
that guy killed the dead guy. Oh no, it was this other guy. Oh, how do we prove that? We did. That's the show. That like how do these people watch a cop show
In the background at double speed.
at double speed? Maniacs, I tell you.
Ludicrous speed.
Someone's listening to this episode at double speed right now, and I want you to know, I'm gonna just add 40 seconds of silence right now to bother you.
It'll
Look
only
at
be
me.
20 seconds of that.
Look at me using the power of post production to add silence to this just to bother you. Now there's some lovely piano music. How about that? I'm not giving you anything. Hate me. And another to cool off. Another thing that kind of brought me to this is that season 1 we were talking about Trigun. The original Trigun has a set of episodes in the first half, or a couple sets of episodes in the first half, where we don't know which episodes you're going to watch. We're on TV. We can't count on you doing home video. It's 1998. And I even say, yeah, the first 5 episodes are the same episode. Do I tell you to skip any of them? No. I just say, look, thematically, the first 5 are the same 5. Any one of them could have been the pilot. I mean, we said that in the first episode. And Justin, do you agree with me? Would you have skipped any of those 5?
No, they all brought something.
And I think...
Well, I was watching them at double speed, dub, so I'm kidding.
What does the Trigun sound like at double speed? I'm not going to find out. I'm never going to do that to myself.
On the subject of Western-themed anime, if you really want to be ridiculous about your definition of filler, you look at Cowboy Bebop, you could argue...
Oh, there's only 5 plot episodes.
There's only 5 plot episodes of Cowboy Bebop, and that the other 21 are just filler, but it's like, if you went to that extreme, you're missing out on all of the richness that show has to offer.
Yeah, you don't get any of the other characters, you don't get any of the fun stuff. You just miss out on some great art that way. And I think when you can only say something is filler, barring of course, I don't know, 100 episodes of One Piece that happened 3 years ago, I think you're depriving yourself. You are deciding to live a lesser life,
which is a choice.
Yeah, I
really.
think you need to just be judicious about how you use the term filler, and the idea is that it doesn't necessarily always have to be bad. Yeah, there's a lot of really bad One Piece filler. I'd come off of a major arc, and it's like, oh, here's some guy with a new made-up double fruit power, and here's like the new annoying kid for this filler arc who's going to be here for the next 10 episodes. And it's like, yeah, this sucks. But even One Piece eventually leveled up some of their filler and actually had it be interesting. And, I don't think you can blanket condemn anything that even fits our definition of filler. You just have to look at it in its own context. Is that episode any good? Okay. Does that arc suck? Okay, so it sucked. At the end of the day, like, what does it matter? You watch something. Did you derive enjoyment from it? If you did, great. If you didn't, well, now you know it's bad.
Yeah. Again, the episode of Dragon Ball Z where they have to drive cars gives us, I don't know, 3 good jokes, and we get to forever enjoy Piccolo wearing streetwear. And that's, obviously that's meant for DLC for phone games now. You gotta get your pulls for Post Boy Piccolo at SSR rank or whatever. But that's something we got. That is value. It is something that fans can enjoy. I remember when people were talking about Dragon Ball Kai. Dragon Ball Kai, if you don't know, cuts the entirety of Dragon Ball to a third of its runtime, which that's probably, even with like an editor who knows what they are doing, that's probably too short. Also, when people were realizing that they're going to cut it to a third the runtime, everyone's like, well, are they going to skip the one where they drive cars?
Having not seen Kai, I think you can make the case for a lot of that cutting because something that Dragon Ball Z definitely did and that One Piece also has done is that for your typical shonen manga adaptation, at least at the start, you do about 2 chapters per episode. But then when you start getting a little bit too close to the manga and you got to do filler arcs and you got to keep the pace slow, they'll often switch to adapting only 1 chapter per episode, which really does bring the pace down. So I think you can snip a lot of like sort of like empty time from those 1 chapter episodes and kind of bring it back in line with the pacing of what the manga originally was, in theory.
In theory. And I think we are now entering a trend with your Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhoods, your Hellsing Ultimates, and your whatever the new One Piece show is called, where it's like, actually, now that we're way behind, we can start fresh. We can start fresh and we can adapt this the right way. And I'll say that Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood kind of cocked up. I think they were so happy to get to the new stuff. They crunched 26 episodes down to 13, and it really hurt the pacing there. And I don't know what the One Piece adaptation is going to do. Probably it'll be much better, but maybe it also just decides to rush through a bunch of stuff and kind of ruin the pacing and hurt how, because I'm only watching One Piece now. I'm decades behind, many miles before I sleep, and I'm just enjoying. What I enjoy about One Piece is how it just revels in the characters' backstories. It really just lets you sit and simmer in their histories and motivations. And
That's the pirate one, right?
that's the pirate one.
Okay.
And I don't know if I want to not have a whole episode about Sanji being a sad boy on an island with his legless friend who doesn't eat.
That sounds. Is that a filler episode or is that arc based?
That is in the middle of the part where they have to defend a restaurant from pirates. There are bad pirates who want to they want to steal a restaurant, and they're like, no, we must stand together to save this restaurant.
Is the restaurant a boat, Scott?
Yes, it is a boat.
Okay. Because I'm not sure how you steal a business otherwise. I just needed to clarify that.
Like you can steal countries, why not businesses, you know?
True.
Steal countries, steal elections, steal a restaurant, why not? Anything is possible with enough vision and determination.
And a complete disregard for most processes rules.
We did say pirate. We did say pirate.
You ever see that old clip that goes on the internet sometimes? A pirate respects other people's property. And I'm like, where is that from? Is that actually a Disney product, as someone says, or is that?
Oh yeah, no, that was like a
mean?
Peter Pan spin-off for Disney Channel. But also a thing Captain Harlock said that one time, and I'm like, Captain Harlock, you're a space pirate. You have no regard for anyone. You say that too. Captain Harlock is on the list, possibly for season 3.
He's a man of contradictions.
He is a man of contradictions. And a man of style.
No one understands him but his first mate. Captain Harlock.
So I think I've exercised my rant. I think I've finally just cleared out all my bile. How are you feeling, Chris?
I would encourage people to just let go and enjoy things. Whether it's your favorite shonen manga adaptation or Severance or Star Trek or whatever, sit back and enjoy it. You know, I feel I do need to note, though, one interesting vector of this discussion. In terms of Star Trek fandom with the current shows, you actually have a subset of fans complaining that there isn't any filler, which I think is hilarious in the context of people on other shows complaining about what they see as any filler at all. And here's the opposite of that.
Yes, Star Trek. This is going back to something Scott in my DM has very much staked his position on, There are shows which are procedural, where something happens every week and the characters resolve that. And there are shows which are dramatic, where a character evolves and changes through their life within the show, and it's a constant struggle between their particular moral or spiritual aspects, and they're trying to be either the best they can be or the most. That's also cool. That's all the HBO stuff. And now we're getting to see Star Trek weaving those together a bit. Haven't really had a chance to ask him how he feels, how Robin feels about that. Hey, I'm a Patreon backer on Carcast now. I should do that.
Well, I think it's interesting because we do have, especially for Discovery, where they are like, we're gonna do filler episodes of Star Trek Discovery, but they're gonna happen at half the length on a different feed. You have to click a different button to find out about the time Tilly makes friends with a lost alien girl. That can't be
Who
a
comes
full
back
episode.
who comes back later?
She does come back later. Maybe she'll be in
Major
Academy.
plot point that is not otherwise explained.
Yeah.
Yeah. Short treks is vital.
But this is not the episode where we talk about how you shouldn't have to read the side material to get what's going on in the show. That's a different rant, probably. We can come back for that. I think we can call it here. Chris, if people want more of you, where do they go to find it?
Just go to mhq.net. You can also look us up on Blue Sky, on Facebook. We have a Discord server, Shinjuku Station, so find us in any of those places if you like, and I'll see you there.
All right. All those links will be in the description, along with a link to HLJshot.com. Buy yourself some sort of Dragon Ball action figure, possibly Piccolo wearing a funny outfit. Also, you can back us on Ko-fi, get episodes early, and maybe hear me explain why battle mechs look weird now.
What happened to the Warhammer, Scott?
Oh.
Pew,
What?
pew, pew, pew.
What did happen to the Warhammer? Why does the Battle Master look wrong? Battle Master is the best one. You can tell because they called it the Battle Master. Anyway, I've been Scott. I want to thank my co-hosts. I want to thank you for listening. We will see you in the next episode. Until then, take care of yourself.